All right, what's up, my brothers? Got a few minutes here before my next appointment. As you can see, there's a bit of a snowstorm going on, so I thought I'd respond to this post that a woman put on the internet about a girls' trip she wanted to do with her coworkers. All I posted on here, and this got over 11 million views, was her husband isn't wrong. Now, she says, my husband, who's 27, doesn't want me to go on a girls' trip. She's 32, a few years older than him. Advice, please, she says. We've been married for 4.5 years. It was a shotgun wedding, 2 kids, age 2 and 4. I'm a teacher, and 4 of my coworkers/friends are going to Florida on our spring break. I've asked my husband if I can go with them. We're all women, and 4 out of 5 of us are married. We'll be getting a 2-bedroom place in Destin just to enjoy ourselves and relax on the beach. According to my husband, I shouldn't want to go on a trip without him and the kids. He doesn't want me to go and thinks it's weird. He claims it's morally wrong and makes me feel guilty about having young children and still wanting to go. To me, this behavior is incredibly controlling and insecure. There it is. There goes the shaming. I'll talk about that in a minute. She says, should I care more about his feelings than going on a vacation? Aren't girls' trips and boys' trips a normal adult thing to do? I'm going to take a look at the comments. Some of the top ones are always pushed up to the top. A guy in a sarcastic tone says, normal people go on girls' trips all the time without any issue. Another person says, they've been married for 4.5 years. She's raised 2 kids. Let her have a vacation. I'll tell you something. 2 and 4 is not raising kids. Those are basically still toddlers. Raising kids is sending them off into the world when they're adults in their 20s. Another dude, the prior one was a woman. Another dude says she's going with coworkers who are also married women. It's not like it's a singles girls trip. And you can go through, and there's a lot of back and forth. Most of it seems to be on the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Either she's an adult, let her go, she deserves a break, or, married women with husbands don't go to spring break with their girlfriends and leave their kids and their husband behind. So this is a very, very contentious topic these days. It's really no surprise to me. I've been talking about this for years. I've covered it in my book, The Unplugged Alpha. It's probably been brought up at least once a month during podcast call-ins from my guests on the Unplugged Alpha podcast. But my take on this is very consistent and always very clear. Girls' trips and girls' events are totally fine. If you're doing, it's Becky's birthday and we're going to go out and have dinner and she's back that night, before midnight. She's not going to clubs. It's just dinner. The girls are having a few drinks, talking about work and their lives, blah, 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 gossip, go home, sleeps with her husband. Another girls' trip is, to the extent of leaving, like as an overnight, would be maybe an overnight development retreat for yoga or something like that because you're a yoga stretcher or whatever the hell it is that you might do, or meditation where it's all women sort of thing. If it's co-ed, if there's men involved, that's where stuff gets problematic. This is problematic because it's a spring break. What happens on spring break? Woo! Spring break! Whoa! That's spring break. This is the reason why the video series Girls Gone Wild took off, was because they were showcasing spring break activities. Now, she's 32. She's not in her 20s. It sounds like the shotgun wedding part. I always wonder about that because, women always hit this like epiphany phase in their late 20s where they start to ask themselves, all my girlfriends are settling down and they're having kids, and where are my kids? And then they'll find some guy that's just good enough to settle down for, and they'll have a couple of babies. Remember, she's 32. The oldest kid is 4, which means 28. Just right on par, epiphany phase. She probably found this guy who's younger than her, 5-6 years younger, who ended up knocking her up, and they got married, shotgun wedding, blah, blah, blah. The rest of the story, and here she is today. She's trying to relive her youth and go back to a time and an era where she was free to do whatever she wants. Those are the party years. Once you go through the party years and women want to get married and raise a family and, be committed to a guy and the family and the children, there really should be no place for spring breaks, girls' trips, like Vegas, Cancun, Florida spring breaks, Ibiza, Greece. All of this stuff is, in my opinion, completely unacceptable for women in a committed relationship. Ladies, if you've sat a guy down and said, where do we stand? I dig your vibe. I want to claim you. I don't want to share you. I'm not seeing anybody else. That's it. That is your guy. that is the guy that you've committed to. If you're religious and you go to church, which I think most people do when they get married, because people don't generally just have, court ceremonies. They'll invite family, they'll have a church, a reception hall, there's wedding photos, there's honeymoon photos, there's all the, religious meetings with the priestry, and whoever has to marry you have to sit down and talk. There's courses involved. All of that requires your commitment on a long-standing basis to a man. You don't want to expose yourself to stepping out on that commitment by doing things like, girls' trips for a week to spring break in Florida where you can woohoo and do whatever the hell you want, because this is where problems happen. I've had a number of guys interviewed on my channel who are in all walks of life, all realms of work, from nightclubs to male strippers to, club promoters, all of these things. And this is where bad things happen. This is where married women think that they can get away with mischievous behavior because there's nobody looking or there's nobody around, or, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas sort of thing. So I think it's entirely reasonable for a guy to want to set a boundary in his relationship. It doesn't matter if she's a girlfriend or a wife, but set a boundary and basically say, look, I don't take women seriously, or girlfriends with boyfriends don't do spring breaks. Wives with husbands and families at home with children don't do spring breaks with their girlfriend. It's as simple as that. It doesn't require an argument. It doesn't require a debate. It doesn't really require more than just no and setting that boundary. Now, women will, in this day and age, say, well, that's incredibly controlling and insecure and, who hurt you sort of thing. And this is your typical sign language type of behavior. Sign's an acronym: shame, insult, guilt, need to be right. It almost always starts with, some sort of shame or an insult. Who hurt you? Why are you so insecure? What could possibly go wrong? It's like, look, if I have a nice car, like I've got a Porsche, it's in storage, it's wintertime right now. If I have a nice car, and I need to park my car somewhere because I'm out and about and I'm traveling. Like when I do rallies and road trips, there's an assigned security officer in an underground parking lot looking after all of our cars, and there's cameras everywhere. We do that because our cars are expensive and they're the kinds of things that people like. Just like hot women. If you're a woman and you're drunk and you're promiscuous and you're at a nightclub sort of thing, that's where things can go wrong. If I'm parking my car in my garage where it's locked up and secure, I'm not worried about it. If I'm parking my car somewhere in a town or a neighborhood that I don't know, I'm more concerned about it. I'm going to want to take measures to make sure that it's protected. That's why when me and my boys, we do rally trips, throughout the Appalachians trails and all this sort of stuff, we've always got our parking situation covered to make sure that we're not going to have any problems in the evening. I don't want to park the car into a shitty neighborhood and hope nothing bad's going to happen. The chances of something bad happening go up exponentially because I've now put something that matters to me in an area or an environment where something bad can happen. I'm not saying women are cars or property, but they are a part of your life. You care about them, you protect them. A lot of men these days, women are taken care of. In this type of scenario, she's a teacher, so she's working, she's out in the workforce. The kids are probably in daycare. That stuff doesn't make sense to me. I'll deal with that in a totally separate video. But she's, like the strong, independent woman sort of avatar that wants to sort of run around. And it's no surprise that 4 out of 5 of them are married and their husbands are generally probably agreeing with this. Although I do suspect most of them subconsciously somewhere within their souls are dying or concerned about what is going to happen or why they're doing this and why they're doing this without their husbands or why they're doing this without their kids. You want to go on spring break, you need a break, take the family. If you're all married, bring your husbands, bring your kids, go to an all-inclusive, let the kids frolic by the, the wave pool and the water slides and all that sort of shit. And you guys can sit by the pool bar and get smashed and have, a parent keep an eye on sort of thing and do a rotating shift. That's the natural order of things. Not, let me go and get married to this guy because I had a shotgun wedding, got knocked up, have a couple of kids, but now I want to relive my youth because a couple of the gals in the office or in the faculty or whatever have decided that it's within our rights or we should be going out having a girls' trip on a spring break. This is where bad things happen. It's like, the old saying, nothing good really ever happens after midnight. Anyway. Let's get on the road and finish this one up. It is a unfortunate state of affairs today that these conversations even need to exist. There's arguments on all ends of the spectrum about controlling and insecurity and, do you think this is right? And then they'll go to the internet, random strangers that they've never met, to ask them for an opinion which will reflect the ideas that they have in their mind that they're trying to confirm. You know, it's a whole cognitive bias thing. You know, we like to go looking for information and answers that support the worldview that we have in our own heads about what it is that we want to do and accomplish. It's weird. It's weird to be letting your wife, somebody that you've committed to, especially in a religious ceremony, to run around and expose herself in a way that could compromise her commitment to you and the marriage. And you know, for guys watching this, this is not insecurity. This is not controlling. This is setting healthy boundaries. Okay, just like she wouldn't want you to go and start doing, I don't know, co-ed, something or another with a bunch of young, hot women. She's going to be raising some concerns about it if you're a strong, virtuous, attractive, competent, high-value guy. She's going to get worried about it. It's why women get worried about successful entrepreneurs that have hot personal assistants or secretaries or receptionists or people that are direct reports to them. They get concerned about it because they know shit goes down. The problem is, though, I suspect, is in a scenario like this, and I'll wrap it up on this note, is she probably settled. Shotgun wedding, to me, is the biggest indicator and one of the most common things that I see that is associated directly with women settling. And settling is not good because it means that the guy that she got with is not her first choice. So if this guy, who's much younger than her, knocked her up, had a shotgun wedding, and now she wants to run off while he's taking care of the kids during spring break, no less, dudes, my men, this is not her going away for, you know, a 48-hour or 36-hour all-girls meditation retreat. This is not. This is something that exposes the relationship, the marriage, even, you know, even the dynamic of the kids. I mean, if you give a shit about your kids, you don't want to let their mom be running around like she's freaking single. You want kids in a two-parent household. That's what's best for children. You know, she's talking about, I've raised children. 2 and 4 is not raising children, sweetheart. That's not even getting started. You're just dealing with them one of them's barely out of diapers, and the other's still shitting themselves in the middle of the night. You're talking about, I've raised, you know, kids? Come on. The way they want to justify, you know, some of these batshit crazy ideas and complicate their lives unnecessarily. I say this all the time, man. Humans love complicating their life and justifying it unnecessarily. Anyway, end of video. Peace out. Take a look at the top pinned comments for a bunch of useful links to things that I'm associated with to dive in deeper on my stuff. We'll see you guys later. Have an awesome day. Peace out.
I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.